Bafana Bafana have another hurdle to overcome at the Africa Cup of Nations out in Cote d'Ivoire when they come up against the #1 ranked nation in the continent, Morocco. Now, whoever wins the match tonight will face Cape Verde on the Saturday. And to talk about this, we've roped in SABC sport commentator Mark Haskins, as well as former footballer with SuperSport United and the likes of Bit. Alongside him is a man that has worn many hats in football in this country. We won't even mention all of those. It is Luthando Zibeko. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning, and morning to the viewers. Great to be here.
Mark, let me start with you because we saw the performance from Cape Verde last night, and I mean, throughout this tournament, they've really just been the surprise package. They're able to attack well, they're able to defend well. What do you think are going to be some of the key areas of concern for whoever they face on Saturday, be it South Africa or Morocco?
Well, I must say my heart was really sore last night because my two favorite teams came up against one another from the group phase. Mauritania, I think, were also phenomenal in the group phase. They broke records in the group phase. Unfortunately, yes, last night they came unstuck, their own doing, a mistake in those final minutes from the substitute. And so everyone will look at what Mauritania did and try to replicate that against Cape Verde because Cape Verde want to play football. Mauritania didn't allow them. They suffocated them with the press, and that's exactly what it's going to take. So don't allow them to play their free-flowing football, and then half the job is done because that's exactly what Mauritania did, and they had quite some success in doing that. And so I suspect a lot of teams now that will come up against them will take a leaf out of Mauritania's book.
Of course, your two favorite nations outside of South Africa, for Mauritania and Cape Verde. Luthando, let's talk about if South Africa tonight, coming into this clash against Morocco, if we're unable to dominate in the midfield, what do you think that plan B should be for Coach Hugo Broos? Because I think we saw them a little bit in the encounter against Mali, sort of running out of ideas when they came up against Tunisia, when we weren't able to utilize our wing play so well. It seemed like they possibly was no plan B. What do you see that plan being B if we are not able to dominate in the midfield?
I think plan A for South Africa is always to try and defend well. If you look at our record, we've considered quite a number of goals. Yes, in the past two games we were very solid at the back, but I think I would actually make a change. Yes, there have been evidence. That evidence can help us, but I think for this game, I'll drop in someone like Lepasa to give us mobility because it worked when we played against Morocco. They could not contain him because of his runs, and I think when I was listening to Hugo Broos, he spoke about surprise, and I think he would be a surprise package for us today.
Okay, I like how you played with words. There's evidence of evidence being. But Mark, you have some opinions on evidence, Mahopa. Bring me into that because also when we played Morocco the previous time, was it the same type of Lebasa that we've seen so far in this tournament and that we've seen playing for Orlando Pirates of late? What are your thoughts on evidence, Mahopa? Because I've heard some of the opinions you've shared on him and what you think he brings to this team.
Yeah, I certainly, I think he's come under quite a great deal of criticism, but I think unfairly so, because if you look at the role he plays, he's essential to the likes of Themba Zwane actually operating and being as effective as he can be. He plays with his back to goal. He's the target man. He's an old school number 9. And that's exactly what is needed. He stretches the opponent, takes them as deep as possible. And that gives the likes of your Percy Tau and then Morena and Themba Zwane to kind of have room to operate and room to move in. That's why Tebogo Mokoena can then join in the attack as well. But I think he's essential in that regard. My worry with someone like Lepasa is that he's going to move into the spaces that Percy Tau occupies and that Morena occupies. And so we need someone that doesn't necessarily want the ball and doesn't want to run, that wants to be as high as possible. That's how we've played, and that's what has kind of gotten us to where we are in the tournament right now. And I suspect that they might want to continue with that. If the coach does change, it will be probably for the surprise element of bringing Alapasa in. He's got the experience, scored the goal against them in the last game, and we know the famous Clive Barker celebration that came after that. But yeah, I think it's all about the mind games now, what the coaches feel is the best option. But I wouldn't change the lineup personally. I would go with, what was working. I always say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. For me, defensive structure is going to be very important. I agree with that completely. The fitness of Motobi Mvala as well as Kuliso Mudau is critical for tonight's encounter.
Let's look at this Morocco side. Possibility tonight that they may not have Ziyech available for them to play. How important would you say that player is for this team, and what are your areas of concern when Bafana comes up against a side like Morocco?
I think I saw a footage. I think Velile shared it on socials. He was training outside the field, and I think we might just have a surprise. I think he might be ready for tonight. I think we should plan for everyone, because it's that time. The tournament is at that stage where your big players, they want to play regardless. So I think Morocco will be coming for us. They will attack us, so we cannot play an open game with them. So we need to be very compact. We need to make sure that we are not too open, because otherwise they will always, score goals. I mean, if you look at their record, they've scored a lot of goals coming to the Africa Cup of Nations, and including, the tournament. They've proved that they can score goals. So I think we just have to make sure that we close that threat and prepare for everything.
Keep it compact, keep it tight, not too much spaces. A quick prediction from you?
Bafana are going to win. I think we should win this one by 2-1.
2-1, Mark?
I would echo that. I think 2-1 is what popped in my head as well for Bafana Bafana.
Well, we are so grateful to you, gentlemen, for coming through this morning. Thank you so much for your time.